Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Nikki. I'm a homeschooling mom that gives homeschooling content, life content, mom content, you know, that kind of stuff. And I have an only child in 3rd grade. So I talk a lot about what it's like to have an only child while homeschooling. And so this video in particular is just going to be a small little update as what I'm shifting around and what we're doing alongside the good and the beautiful language arts. If you missed it, we are back to doing the good and the beautiful. So if that is something that interests you, then keep watching. All right, so I know what everyone's thinking. Why, if the good and the beautiful is an all-in-one curriculum, are you going to be doing anything alongside it? Well, here's the thing. I didn't choose to do the good and the beautiful. My daughter is choosing to continue with the good and the beautiful. I stopped the good and the beautiful last year because we just were not enjoying it as much, and I think it's just because she wasn't being challenged enough, and it was super easy and just kind of like rolling your eyes type of stuff for her at that time. Now this year it's kind of going so far the same way. It's very easy. We end up finishing a lesson within 10-15 minutes, 20 if there's additional things being added for that week. But the best part about this is that if that is the case and I see something that I want to dive further into, I have other resources to kind of delve a little bit deeper, because I do feel like the good and the beautiful kind of stays surface level with a lot of topics and a lot of things learned other than like the phonics, because the phonics is heavy in this, as well as like the spelling incorporated with that. So with that being said, we were doing our spelling connections with Zaner Blozer. I'm pulling it. I hate to even say it out loud because I wanted to love this so much. I love that it's in color. I completely love the concept of it, but it's busy work. It's busy work. And there's a time and place for busy work, in my opinion, and during our school day, it's just not it. The spelling words, so far, she's really not come across one, again, that she doesn't know how to spell, so she doesn't think that going through the phonics of it, because in her book, which I could show you an example, every book is the same. It has a word study page where it has the words. It does want you to write them according to the long I and stuff like that in a certain way, whatever, on day 1. And then on day 2, it literally goes over the phonics of the word. So it has the sound, letter patterns, matching ending sounds, dictionary checks, and so forth. So for her, she's like, it says add GH to each word below and write a word with the long I sound. If she already knows how to spell the word, knows how to say the word, recognize the word, it's really not necessary. So she was having trouble just understanding the assignment because she didn't realize why she had to piece it apart. And honestly, it's not necessary if she knows already the phonics behind it. So the next part is reading. So reading is connect to reading. So they're using antonyms, idioms, context clues. So this page she did okay with. And then the writing portion was just like editing some sentences and then rewriting it. And because we already have other writing components, I didn't make her rewrite the paragraph. But I did have her go through and use the editing marks to write the editing for it. And then you're done. After that, you take the test if you test, and that's it. So maybe, I don't know. Right now she's still doing it. I haven't pulled it yet, and maybe we could just cross out the phonics page or anything to do with that and stick to the other pages, because I do think reading it in context is important, and answering, like making sure you understand and stuff like that. So we're not doing the spelling in the Good and the Beautiful. I wish I had a good example here in front of me, but I don't. Now they have a whole other spelling book that goes with the program, but I just want to say I did not buy that. If there is a spelling in, okay, here, I found one. It's on lesson 4. On lesson 4, they had a spelling book section, and it was just like the spelling rule of CK and CK at the end of words. But because she's such a good reader, she already kind of knows like how the endings of these words are spelled. She may have a hiccup every now and then, but for the most part, she understands. So I just like read to her the word out loud and make her spell it. And if it's right, then we move on. I don't sit there and like delve on it. So I'm not doing the actual spelling book from the Good and the Beautiful. We're just doing the like lessons itself. And then I love, because it does go into poetry and it does go into grammar. So I'm not adding, supplementing grammar at this time. I was having us try to add in Beowulf grammar, and I'm like, why? We're already getting some grammar in here, and a lot of it has been repetitive. So I think for now, the grammar is enough in the language arts. I've kind of changed my opinion on that. I thought she really needed to dive home on the grammar, but I think this new version is giving a good enough amount. So we're not doing extra grammar, but what we are going to be adding in is just a teensy tiny bit of writing. I went back and forth on this because there is writing incorporated in some of the lessons of the Good and the Beautiful, and I just want more. She doesn't know how to write a paragraph yet, so we're baby steps here. They haven't really taught like the steps in doing that thus far, unless they did in the last half of the Good and the Beautiful from second grade or level 2, because we stopped at about lesson 60. So I have no idea what was taught at the end of that. So we're going to do our own thing. I am going with Winning with Writing from Jack Chris Publishing. This is the level 3 and the first semester book. I do have another book for the second semester. It is black and white, so it's not my usual thing, but I do really like how this one is laid out. It has like the lesson day 1, so there's like 1 through 5 or whatever. So we are going to do this, and it literally took her like all of like 5 minutes, maybe 10, maybe 7 to do 2 of the days of it. So I think she's going to breeze through it, and right now it's kind of just giving her review, but it's also giving her some writing as well. So let me just read to you really quick. Don't want to make this a super long video for you. The table of contents. So it's going over word order, sentences, choosing strong verbs, adverbs, colorful adjectives, varying sentences, review, quotation, similes, metaphors, combining, joining sentences, run-on, rambling sentences, formal and informal, review, paragraph, starting a main topic, keeping on topic, sentence order, characters, and review. That is in the first semester. We should be able to nail this down fairly quick. Because like I said, the stuff has so far been extremely easy for her to do. I just want her to have some kind of foundational thing there where I didn't need BJU's like rigorous, like 180 lessons or however many. I think it was 160 maybe. That was a lot, and it was too much, and that was like you had to teach it in a certain way. Well, this is like straight out, right on simple on the page, 1 page lesson. It's It's like a paragraph, and it's very easy to understand. So we're doing that, and we're going to see how that goes. So after we get done with language arts, we're going to open up this writing book, and we're going to do our day 1, day 2, whatever day we're on. Next, that I'm going to try, once we get into paragraphs, I have this other supplement that I purchased. I don't really know much about it. I can't say it's great. This is black and white as well, but it looks very thoroughly organized in the sense of like it's really going to get her to understand, and it's going to give her some words to use, which I do like that the Good and the Beautiful, when it does have a writing thing, I think they just did some type of opinion writing in one of the last couple lessons, and I liked it because it gave them like pieces that they had to fill in the blank almost, versus like write full sentences like they're gonna know what to say yet. So I liked that, and I think that's gonna be like how it is in these other books. So I have a few other supplemental things. Now, we are not going to do these supplements from page 1 through. These are just as we go. If we need more practice with something, we have options. I didn't want to just be like narrowed down to the Good and the Beautiful. I wanted to be able to have options if we're not understanding it. So I do have Writer's Toolbox as well. If you've not seen Writer's Toolbox, it gives you a bunch of tools in how to write letters, fairy tales, scary stories, journals, poems, and reports. It's very colorful. It literally takes you through a example, and then has so many good nuggets in this book. So I think we'll be adapting that as we go when they talk or discuss these things in other books, because it's going to also give a visual to it, which is nice, of a nice component. I also got this from Spectrum. I don't know if we're actually going to use this. I might still return it. I'm not 100%. Again, I'm not using this from cover to cover, but I did like some certain things about it. It is in color. Spectrum overall has pretty decent workbooks, but this is going to like really help every now and then, maybe even as an independent worksheet to do, to get her brain flowing and understanding again some of the concepts, like parts of a friendly letter and such like that. And maybe it's just some extra practice. It does have the spider webs, excuse me, the writing process to a story, the writing process, personal narrative. So it has all the components, and I think that just some extra practice will be great for her. Don't think I'm crazy, because literally, like I said, I'm not using all of these things from front to cover, and as it comes about in the Good and the Beautiful and in our Winning with Writing, then we can expand. We could pause. We don't have to finish this from cover to cover. I just want her to have a really solid foundation. I am a writer. I'll just admit it. This is probably why I'm crazy with writing. I want her to have a solid foundation for writing, but it has to start with the Good and the Beautiful, with the grammar in there and stuff like that, for her to have a understanding. So lastly, I did purchase this a while ago, like last year, I want to say sometime. We didn't end up doing it because, like I said, we didn't really do a lot as far as language arts last year, because I was all over the place. I didn't know what to do after we quit the Good and the Beautiful, and now we're back. But anyway, I got this from Sunlight, and this is their Diamond Notes. So this is creative writing, and it uses these diamond theory of relating it to baseball. If you have a sports fanatic, this might actually work. And then it has like different components. It has, I'm trying to get the page here, a cutout page or a cutout sheet to give visual aids and to put into those diamonds. But it literally like lays out everything for you in the lesson. So once we get a solid understanding of what a paragraph is and stuff like that, then we can dabble into a little bit more on the creative side. So it's really cool. I love the way that they approach writing and creative writing in particular. It's a very short, like 50-page thing, and majority of those pages are those diamonds. They're just blank. So it's just like a concept of how to get a kid, if they're not understanding, to understand how to break things down and put them together like that. So very, very excited eventually to dive into the creative writing. So alongside The Good and the Beautiful, we are diving into writing. I didn't want to push it, and I changed my mind. I really want to push it now. Not in a way where I'm like, oh my God, you have to learn how to write. Like, no, we're just going to take our time and we're going to go with it, but we're going to do it, and we're going to be present, and we're going to be intentional. So we're still doing Moss Doss alongside The Good and the Beautiful, but we're only doing it once a week. So we're only reading one story a week. And because of how it's broken up, I'm going to give you an example. So in between stories, they have this lesson in literature. So this lesson in literature is only these 2 pages. And it has some think about it questions, and then it talks about, like for instance, this one is what is a plot, and goes into different details about that. We read the story, we think, we talk about it, and then that's all for that week. I don't do anything else. There's no notebook that correlates or workbook that correlates to this. That is it. We have a discussion. The stories are rich. We love the stories so far, and what it is teaching my child as far as the benefit of these stories. These stories remind me so much of The Good and the Beautiful stories, as I think that their books are just as rich. So anyway, so then the next day we dive into the next week, because we're only doing this once a week. So that would be 1 week, just this one page here. That's 1 week. The following week, we dive into the actual story. So that story will literally be a couple pages, but it's very colorful. And obviously, as you can see, some of the pages have very little on them. And then it has word banks, so it does go into vocabulary. So I'm using this as kind of like reading and vocabulary. It takes us about 15 minutes to get through a story, and that's not, like I said, we use this once a week. So after that, we discuss the questions out loud. We do not write anything. Nothing we don't write. We don't write anything. And then we don't do any of the creative writing, because we don't need to use it for that. And then again, this would be the following week, a lesson in literature, and we just read this one. It was really cute. And then next week, we'll be starting A Cane in Her Hand. So we had the workbook. It's okay. Book I have here, it is kind of busy work. It does go over the same thing every week. We did not do the first one because I didn't think it was important, but me and her did go through the last story. So this was like a vocabulary fill in the blank, which was really easy for her to, like, once we went over the vocabulary in our book, the story, she was able to pin it right here real quick, did not need me. And then it went over who, what, where, when, why, circle the correct answer. So it's using the vocabulary in context. Who braid the burrow? What grows thickly in a thicket? Bushes. So that was funny because thicket, I mean, I've not heard that word very often used, and it was in our, I want to say it was in our Good and the Beautiful book, and then it was also in our book that we're reading for our read aloud. So I was just like, wow, now you know what a thicket is. If we hadn't done this, you wouldn't have known. So it's funny how things work out like that. I have no problem crossing out pages where we're like, no, not doing that. And then we read recognizing the plot. So we were reading a story, and it's teaching them how to recognize the plot in the stories, which I really appreciated. It had a compare and contrast. She did that on her own. It was really no big deal. And then it goes into the same type of activities. So like, if we get to it, we get to it, but I'm not like holding my breath going, oh, we have to do the workbook. Because to me, that's just not, it's not important. So that's really all that we're doing alongside the Good and the Beautiful. She is doing her Zahner Bloser handwriting. She's only doing this twice a week, so she hasn't even gotten to cursive yet. I believe she'll be dabbling in that in no time though. So she literally just does one page when she has to do this, and then that's it. So she's about maybe 2 weeks away from starting cursive. But it'll be longer than that because I'm not going to take this with on our vacation, which if you didn't see that video, I have a planning video for how we're going to school on vacation that just went up. So go check that out. Anyways, so that is it. This is flowing and it's going really well. So I don't want to stop it. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to change anything about it. The Good and the Beautiful is our base. This is our core. This is what we start with and we go from there. So even if I think it's not like working, but she's enjoying it, she's enjoying it. She's enjoying it. So I don't want to take that away from her. But I'm like psycho and add in other components. So like I said, I'll probably minimize our spelling and might continue with it. I'm not going to be 100%. So I know this video was supposed to be short and now it's like super duper long. But that is it. We are doing the Good and the Beautiful, and we are doing this writing book, and one day of the week we're reading a story from Moss, and I love it because it's rich and it's good. And then we also read the readers alongside in the Good and the Beautiful. So we're very literature heavy, very spelling heavy, very going to be writing heavy. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know. If you have any questions for me down below. Have you heard of this curriculum? Do you want to flip through or a more in depth? Let me know in the comments. If you're new here and you enjoyed it, please hit the subscribe button and hit that bell to notify you of any future videos of mine. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.